We're looking at chapter 10 of our text in public speaking. Chapter 10 deals with presentational aids and technology. We've looked at the first section, and that is the nature of presentational aids. The second segment now deals with types of presentational aids, and these are relatively simple, so I won't spend too much time with them. So presentational aids fall into four basic classifications. They are actual objects that you bring in, or a three-dimensional model, or a two-dimensional reproduction, or last, and that is technology-based aids. So let's start off with actual objects. Actual objects certainly can be effective visual aids, especially if it's large enough for the audience to see. Because you're showing your audience exactly what you're talking about, it has power to convince, unlike any other presentational aid. Three-dimensional models are useful when explaining steps in a sequence. Again, a reminder, when you are going to use a three-dimensional model, take into account construction time, availability. Don't spend so much time with preparing the model, unless, of course, the model is integral to your presentation, and without it, your presentation would not succeed. Two-dimensional reproductions include photographs, drawings, diagrams, maps, tables, charts, and these are all useful for adding detail and clarification to your presentation. Again, a reminder, depending on audience size, these presentational aids must be large enough for your audience to see. Otherwise, only you can appreciate it. Flowcharts are used to display the steps or stages in the process, and so organizational charts we'll look at secondly, bar graphs as a third one, and then line graphs as a fourth one. So let's get into detail with the first one, flowcharts. They're useful to display the steps or stages in the process. Be sure to look at the example in the textbook. You start here, you do this. If this doesn't work, do this. And so you have some options within the flowchart. I think you are familiar with these. Second, organizational charts reflect our highly structured world and are organized according to, here it is, official hierarchies, the chain of command that determine the relationships of people as they work. Chain of command, essentially. Bar graph is useful when you're comparing two or more items across a period of time. So on one axis, you'll have the amount, and on the other axis, you'll look at another variable. So it's a two variable bar graph. You can have a three variable bar graph, a little bit harder, but that's possible. Line graphs are used generally to show a trend or how something changes or fluctuates in value over time. So I'm looking at some bar graphs with South African currency, for example, to see what the US dollar South African exchange rate has done in the last week, in the last month, in the last year, in the last 5 years. I'm losing money. Pictographs are most commonly used as a variation of the bar graph. And the only difference here is that the bars are replaced with pictures, pictorial representation of the graph's subject. So it would be rand and dollar signs if I were to use that, okay? Pie graphs show your audience how the parts of an item relate to the whole. Remember, pie can only be made up of 100%. And so when you divide a pie up, there's more than one part. And so be sure to color code and give the percentages. Types of presentational aids include two-dimensional presentational aids we've talked a little bit about, and that is first chalk dry erase boards, and they are the easiest to use and the most available. They require hardly any preparation time, but using a board requires neat, legible handwriting, which my wife tells me I don't have. Poster boards. Advantages to using a poster board include its low cost and familiarity, and yeah, when you don't have technology, it's not easily accessible. Of course, the poster board and the chalk or dry erase board work well. Flip charts are nice because they allow for spontaneity, and repositional notepads, and these are those large sticky notes have useful applications when you divide the class up into groups or the audience into groups or teams, and they brainstorm and then display the results on multiple pages around the walls. Oh, we'll stop there and get on to, no, we're going to continue, sorry, technology-based presentational aids. Yeah, no, we'll stop there and hit technology-based presentations in the next video.